What's shaking, bacon?
Not much. How are you guys?
Not bad. Thank you.
I'm Rick.
I'm Chris.
Hello. I'm actually very excited about this one because I'm from Staten Island.
Oh, cool.
Unfortunately, we're the wrong two members. Our screamer is from Staten Island, and he's at work. Yeah. But I don't know where he's kind of, I don't know how familiar you are with the area, I guess. He's there, like Phoenix Studios, Arthur Kill Road.
Yeah.
Lives right over there. So we're over there like at least every month or every other month.
Is Staten Island like even big? Is it that big? Or is it like the size of like Rhode Island?
No, it's not. It's Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a place. It's a very interesting place.
I enjoy our like little New York trips though. Like I really do. Like I have a good time.
So again, thanks for doing this. We have a cute little question that was asked at our freshman orientation that we ask everyone. It's a cute little icebreaker. If you could be any item in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
Wait, say that again?
If you could be any item in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
Ooh. Probably a spoon because it's the most useful thing. You can scoop things with it. You can chop things with it. You know, it's the most useful. Like I like to be useful. You know what I mean? So definitely a spoon. Absolutely. What about you, Ricky?
I would say, I guess
that's a hard one.
I don't know.
That's a weird question. I like that though.
I would say like a roller, like the dough roll.
What?
Just cause like I smooth things out.
Oh, I like that. I like that. There you go.
Cute.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Ricky's answer was better than mine, so it's totally fine.
I told people I'd be a knife because I have a sharp wit.
See? All right, now she beat us.
Yeah, she beat us. I was like, but I thought I was gonna be like, nah. That seems.
Or I could say one of those like sporks because you can
same thing as a spoon.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. But it has the tips to it, so you can still like you're still sharp, but you're also smooth at the same time. You know? Versatile. There you go.
So I'm actually quite curious on how you guys would describe your band sound in 3 words, since there were so many different, at least like for me when I was listening, genres happening. I'm quite curious to see like how you guys would define yourselves.
Well, we've been through a few genre changes over the years. We used to be easycore, then we went to pop punk, and then we went to metalcore. When we went to metalcore, we just figured out.
Well, you said 3 words, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, why all these words? I was like, wait, she asked for 3 words.
Oh, 3 words. 3 words to describe.
Well, he was giving a little story on how you guys ended up where you are, but
yeah, it was a little story. 3 words to describe us. Powerful, melodic, hardcore.
Whoa, hardcore is a good one.
Hardcore. I would say hardcore. We're pretty hardcore.
I don't know about that.
One of us is pretty hardcore.
Yeah. Unreleased stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll go with him on this one. I'll let him take that one.
All right. He doesn't let me take a lot, so good. This is a good sign.
But how we got to metalcore was we were trying to find ourselves the last 2 albums before. So we kind of just sat and reflected ourselves, like within ourselves, and we realized that we were listening to a lot of music that wasn't pop punk or wasn't easycore, and we kind of just wrote to what we were listening to and what we felt in the time. And when we got to the studio, our producer was just like, maybe we should try to bump these up a little bit. And then we came out with Burn For Me. We got a really positive response. So it was our feeler song. And then all of a sudden we were like, all right, we're going to stay here and see what happens. And then obviously
it was definitely like more us. You know what I mean? Like obviously like the pop punk stuff was like pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like we enjoyed doing it, and like it was a lot of fun. Like a lot of the old music, a lot of angst. Yeah, it was just hyper music, you know. But I feel like the music that we do now has a lot more meaning towards it.
It's way more us. Like we put a lot more time and thought into it.
Definitely a lot more like melodic. I've always loved like melodic cleans, and obviously with pop punk, you can't really do a lot of like melodic cleans. It's more just like more jumpy vocals. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's nice that we could finally, I felt like I kind of came more out of my element when we turned to like metalcore.
I guess we'd say like unique, versatile, because versatile. Unique, versatile, and ambitious.
See, the thing is, I don't even know if that's even the right word, versatile, like the way I'm saying it.
I would say, yeah, versatile, because all of our songs are different that we have on this record. We've only heard 3 out of the 5, and the other 2 songs are completely different from each other, but still have the same groove. Mm-hmm. And then what we're working on the background is also going to take a little bit of a step in the ambitious direction.
Yep.
For me personally, you guys are one of the few bands that are actually like in my genre of what I listen to normally that I talk to. So that like rarely happens for me. So this is a very exciting thing to speak to. I'm curious on how you guys came up with track listing. I know track listing is like super important when you're creating a record. Can you describe how or like why you put the placement of the tracks in the order that you did?
So, placement of the. So you want to talk about the placement of how they're released now, or how they show up on like iTunes or Spotify?
What like on the like when the record's released? Yeah.
I guess we kind of wanted to tell a story.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure we start the album with Ghost.
Did we start with Ghost? Or did we start it with Surface?
No, we started with Ghost.
We started with Ghost. Okay.
Ghost it has like a long intro, and it's kind of like our story of us talking about like
mental abuse.
We didn't know where we stood with ourselves. We were going through like member changes. We didn't know kind of where this band was gonna go.
It was kind of like our dark time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then like we just kind of translated it.
Our choruses, the chorus is basically just like we're here to stay. Like no matter how rough the road's gonna get, we're gonna be here, like to do everything together. And I guess we wanted to tell like just a roller coaster of emotions. Like we start with Ghost. I'm pretty sure we go into fading out. Fading out, basically just taking a step back from everyday life and just kind of like looking at everything and trying to knowing your purpose along the journey.
Ever like, you know, stepped away from a fight and then you're like thinking to yourself, like, is it me who's wrong? Is it that person who's wrong? That's pretty much like what fading out is like about. It's like your subconscious, you know what I mean? Like you it's what's going on in your head, all the different emotions at once.
And then we go into Surface?
Yeah, Surface. Surface is probably I would think like our darkest like song.
Surface, it hasn't released yet, but Surface is just about like us we've all had like rough relationships or breakups or just rough squabbles you'll have with friends and stuff. So I said squabbles. I never use that.
I was thinking that so much.
So like we all go through rough patches.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like our conversation about like, damn, like this is life, like this is happening. Like unfortunately, you kind of go into that dark spot in your mind.
There's a really good really good line is like, if I have purpose, why do I feel so worthless? I think like everyone goes through that time where like people are telling, like in this world, like people are trying to tell you, hey, you're supposed to be doing this and like this is your purpose in life. But sometimes it's not the direction that you want to go in. You know what I mean? And sometimes it just makes you feel worthless on the inside. You know what I mean?
And we finished the album with One of Us, which is our heaviest song, and it deals with mental abuse and addiction, and how like addiction has a forever impact on not just your life, but the life of everybody else around you. We sneak in a line that at the end of the song this is Omega, which basically means that no matter how long the song is or how long the story goes, like the feeling and the pain lasts forever.
I feel like there's people out there too that'll be like, well, I've never had depression, I've never had anxiety, I've never had this, but like we said, you dive deeper into it, and everyone has that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, you're one of us, because everyone is the same. Everyone has gone through those same emotions before, whether or not they admit it or not. They definitely have. Maybe they don't realize it, but they definitely have. So it's big for us.
I think track listing is a super interesting part of when artists make a record, just because it's the intent of how the listener is actually supposed to listen to what's released.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people nowadays don't do that as much as they should. Just because of Spotify culture. So my next question for you is, what is your opinion of streaming services like Spotify?
I like Spotify. Like I said, I know that there's some artists that don't like it. Like I know, like Taylor Swift for a while, she was like not about
I think
it.
it was just like the pricing and stuff
It was
for
like
her.
yeah.
She gets back her money. But my opinion is like it's cool that we have instant access to listen to any musician at any point in time. But the downside was that the cool part of playing and doing live music was that people could only hear you either on the radio or at live shows. So it takes that aspect out of it because, you know, for $10.99 a month, you can listen to your artist unlimited, or, you know, when a band comes to town, you know, once or twice a month, you know, pay $20 to go see them. You know, you're gonna pick stay at home and listen or go to a live show. So I just think it takes away from that live culture that we, you know, we were brought up with, and now it's just kind of everything's online, and especially during these times, it's double different.
Even now today too, which is crazy. Something that I didn't even know is that most record labels now, they rely on Spotify numbers. Like they definitely rely, like where before record labels would rely on bands touring and doing more like live shows.
They still do.
They still do.
It's awkward right now. Like right now, we have to really focus on it, but like it's still a big part of it. It's touring and like
right.
We're not saying that.
No, you get what I mean. But like, but it's a factor now. Where like before, it really wasn't a factor. Like obviously in like 2008, Spotify didn't even exist. You know what I mean? So it's like, do you get what I'm saying? But like now it's like a huge factor. People take it really, really seriously. I think the first like streaming platform wasn't that Pandora? I think it was like Pandora.
Dude, I have no idea.
Yeah, something like that.
This is all new for me.
Yeah, I'm not a technical advanced person at all. I can't even get my phone to work properly. So.
You also wanted to go to school for cybersecurity.
Yeah, I wanted to go to school for cybersecurity, and I was like, I did like 3 classes, like stop the page.
Can't even unlock his phone.
No, can't even unlock my phone properly.
So. Yeah, I have my own 2 cents on Spotify. I'm not gonna lie, I do use the streaming service every day. But I think, as a listener, I shouldn't be seeing a band's monthly listener count. I think that should be held respectively for the business side of things, because I feel like, at least from what my friends do, it impacts who they listen to and how they listen to an artist. And I don't think that should be a thing.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't even realize, like, because I see the our numbers, and I until this moment right now, I always thought that we could just see it because we have the band one. But now that you said that, I was like, oh my god, that makes perfect sense, because
people could always see.
Yeah, I never even realized that.
And the only reason, like, honestly, like, you know, our monthly jumped up because obviously, like, with the label, we get on, you know, decent playlists through like the label, which is kind of
don't listen to the numbers. Just listen. Yeah. Just listen. Just click play.
Yeah,
I agree that.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
I do agree.
Don't listen to the numbers. Click play and enjoy the music.
There's so many good bands that I listen to on Spotify that got like super low monthly listeners, and they're like incredible. You know what I mean? I can see where you're coming from with that. That is kind of annoying. Yeah. That is. I don't like that actually.
I've also noticed, like, here, it's influenced how bills are made for sets and stuff. And it's kind of upsetting to see, like, the same 3 bands touring with each other every single time. Not saying they're not great, but, like, sometimes a little, take a chance. I don't know. At least that's my own thought process on this.
No, we'll stand with you on that one. Take a chance.
Take a chance and listen to bands that, like some of the best bands, like I said, I've listened to, they don't have a lot of monthly listeners. They just enjoy making music, you know? They're not out there for, like, the fame and all this stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I get it. Also, congrats on recently signing to InVogue. That's pretty exciting.
Thanks.
They're one of my favorite labels, not gonna lie. So, I think from what I've seen...
What's your band on that label? What's the band that you really like on our record label? How about that? Okay. Well, not like who's been on a record label.
If I'm talking just strictly InVogue, In Her Own Words is probably one of my favorites off the label. I have the record. If I'm talking all-time label, Sharp Tone, I have a soft spot for. Like.
Oh, really? That's awesome. No, Sharp Tone's pretty cool. Sean's pretty awesome. He's cool. He's a cool dude.
InVogue band, mine's Boys Will Fall.
Nice.
Love them. Listen. Hey.
I like this band called Makari that was on the record label. They're not on the record label anymore, but they're incredible. Yeah, Makari with Andy.
Yeah. Yeah. I always find it interesting. Like, all of these labels, I feel like they're not smaller labels, so to say, but, like, yeah, I guess they're smaller labels. I feel like from what I see, they do so much to promote their artists, and some of them are really willing to take chances on artists that I think is something special, just because they're not just going by, at least from like my perspective, those monthly listener counts.
I seem to respect those labels a lot more, people that take chances. I mean,
Nick took a chance on us.
Yeah, I mean,
really
you're taking a chance with every artist,
Yeah.
but like at the time we were in the mix of figuring out our sound, so to propose that to a label and then to say, give these guys a chance. He basically opened his arms and said, "Yeah, let's try this." And
it
looks good so far.
Yeah,
we were doing good.
We were surprised, like when our manager first told us that we were gonna get a deal, and we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? Like he just said, we were in the process of figuring ourselves out. You know what I mean? So it's nice that someone wanted to take a chance with us, see what we could do. It's, you know, it's a good confidence boost too.
Yeah,
you know?
it's really cool because like I've been playing music my whole life, well, since I was like 13, 14, and like it's always been no. You get used to hearing no or like nah, get out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like to hear somebody say, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" And we're like, "Wait, I never got this far. What do you mean?" And then for it to work as well as it's doing so far,
It's sad to say, but you get kind of used to rejection after a while. Like you know, obviously we promoted to like other record labels. Sometimes they're like, no, we got a lot of no's. You know what I mean? And then we finally started getting yeses, and we're like, this is weird. You know, so it was good.
So this kind of leads to earlier you mentioned live music. Where I'm from on Staten Island, there isn't really live music, which I'm sure you've kind of seen. At least it's like sad here. It's sad. So when you guys are actually performing live, where would you normally go, I guess is the question, like for live music in this area?
So in New York, like we played the Knitting Factory. We did our EP release show for our pop punk album at the Knitting Factory in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I think the coolest place, in my opinion, that we played at was Gramercy Theater. That blew me up.
Gramercy was cool. We played at Independence Hall in Ashbury, New Jersey. I know that's like not new. I'm trying to just think of the areas over there. I think we played a show at Phoenix Studios.
What was the place called? Cubby Bear too?
That was in Chicago. That's not New York.
Oh, okay, that's my bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. We played at Game Changer World.
Oh, was that Social Repos?
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I like that show. That was a really cool like scene.
We didn't. Yeah, we haven't. Where else did we play? We played at. What did we just play at in March? Oh my God, the Nest. Where isn't that Brooklyn?
Was that? Oh yeah, the Nest. Yeah.
The basement.
That was that
the Nest.
Cool. We had to walk around the block like 50 times because we couldn't even find it.
So far, every place in New York has been pretty damn good. Like sound wise, people wise, promotional wise. I can't complain about New York scene really. Like because when it's time to show up for a show, New York does it. I mean, New York been fun.
Yeah. Wait, was Game Changer in New Jersey? Game Changer in New Jersey. Oh, also too. Where did we play with Tillian? That was in Jersey too.
Yeah, Independence Hall.
That was in Independence Hall. All right. See, I'm not good with that kind of stuff.
I'm there. I'm with you.
He's
I normally go to Jersey for shows, so I understand. Yeah, where I am geographically, it's closer. So instead of
where do you end up shows over there?
Starland or the Stone Pony is probably where I've seen the most shows.
Oh, all right. Yep.
Haven't been to Independence Hall yet, but heard great things.
Stone Pony.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that.
That's a great name to name a place. Stone Pony.
It's a pretty cool venue.
Yep.
So, my next question for you guys is one that our PR director Grace came up with, and I'm sorry, it's gonna be like a kind of complicated question. What is your opinion? What is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
After?
I like that.
You know what? I'm cool with it with Pop Smoke and Juice WRLD releasing albums post death. Postmortem. Yeah. No, I'm cool with it because the process takes a while. Like it's not just somebody going in there recreate. I'm gonna assume it's not just somebody going in there and recreating his voice. It's his voice. Yeah. They just never finished the product. So I like the idea of having an artist that has passed, and it's their album. It's still their album, regardless if they pass them out, because their voice was on that track. I think it helps a lot, and it also helps with a lot of closure because it puts songs and other things into perspective when that song is released. It could change. It also could change the whole mood of the entire album.
There was it was interesting when Chester, actually it's the anniversary today of, speaking of that whole situation, but I know that there are some bands that are not for that. I know there was a few demos that they did before he passed away that got leaked online, and the band immediately took them down because they were like, no, like this is like a serious situation, like, and this is something that we want to keep for like ourselves. I mean, it depends on the situation, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there are some bands and artists that are more like, no, like we don't want to do this because this is like his personal stuff. And there's some, artists that you said are like okay with like releasing that.
Yeah, I guess the big thing for me to tilt it in the other direction would be, where does that money go? Like, I would hate for the label to say, oh, we're gonna pocket all this money, instead of giving it to the family of somebody who's deceased.
That's what I was.
That's like my issue with it. But I do agree that if unfortunately if it does ever happen, someone should release it.
Yeah, I mean, like I think even like Unclean Romans, they have some songs that had Kyle on it that never got released as well. But what they did, what was different, which they went back to the studio, and I think the Screamer recorded the cleans and the screams, and then they re-released it that way. But originally, I think Kyle had some of those parts. They just never released it with Kyle on it, just for respect for him. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's just something that like I heard about. I definitely know about the Linkin Park stuff. That's a true fact. So.
I know this is a very complicated question.
It's a complicated question. But
you have to think about it.
You have to think about it, but like, I feel like it's something that should be talked about because you never know what could happen.
I think it's respectful, in my opinion.
It's respectful. I would say it's respectful. Like if something happened to me, like I would hope and there was something that had my voice on it, I would hope my band would release something that as a memory.
No exception for Brady. Brady, you don't get to put on the album.
We actually asked this question to start a conversation about it, since we have noticed it is unfortunately happening more frequently in the industry. This question came about because of the Little Peep songs that were released last year that kind of sounded like unfinished bedroom demos. And then Mac Miller's album came out, which actually had consent from his family, and the producer who worked with him on the album helped to finish it. So we noticed there are different extremes to how this what's been happening, and we want to start a conversation about, I know this is going to sound so morbid, but artist wills or actually negotiating this into a contract, because we know a lot of artists have different opinions on what should happen to their own music.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So is the question, like, should we think about the will? Like, it should be on the write it in? Or up?
It's up to everyone. I don't know. It's whatever. We just want to try to bring it up because you don't want something to happen that you don't want to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of morbid to think about that, like 26, 27, 28, that we have to think about, like, writing a will for our music. I think it's smart.
I put it in my will. I'd be like, I want you guys to release
I think it's going to be different than a will. It's a music. So I would assume that just like a piece of paper you could write in your writing journal. Like for some reason, it's just like, in case of like, for this to happen, like this is where my music's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. I think it's not a bad thing, but the problem with that is that not a lot of musicians are like really organized. You get lost with where that will would go, but like I think it's smart to cover your ground where that stuff is. I think my biggest thing is like I love the label aspect of stuff, but it's where the money goes. Like, God forbid anything was to happen to me, I would want my family, and anybody associated with me to get what I have left after I pass. But like, I would be honestly damned if somebody else got it.
I'd write it in. I'd write a will. Yeah, I'd write a will too. I would want it to be like split. Like I want some to go to my family and to my bandmates because my bandmates are very close with as well, and I would want them to be. If something happened to me, I want them to still be successful in what they love to do. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want it to just end. I want them to move on and write different music and do stuff. So I would want some of the money to go to them, and I would want some of the money to go to my family. I think it'd be like split down the middle kind of thing. I mean, I think that's only fair. I mean, because I believe in their dreams as well, as you know what I mean, and things do happen sometimes, So
I've had this question compared to Kurt Cobain's journal and the band Viola Beach. I don't know if you know them. They're like a UK band. They unfortunately passed away in a car accident where they like fell off a bridge, and their album was released posthumously, and it didn't sound very finished, but the families of the band wanted it released. So it's very interesting to see the extremes and what
I mean, it's also you'd be surprised what you can do with someone's voice. Like I know, like producers, like I know if something like happens, they can usually take bits of like what that person already did and just
They did that. Justin Timberlake, I think it was, or Drake did it with Michael Jackson's voice. I mean, these are extremes and stuff. Like I guess Michael Jackson like only had like just like one line of a song, and then they made it into an entire song. I think it was Justin Timberlake that did it. But
takes a lot of editing.
I don't know, like what you just said about how they kind of just released a product that was unfinished. I honestly would appreciate that more because it's just basically what they left on.
It's the unfinished story.
Yeah, and that leaves it for more interpretation. Like it just opens a broader, a bigger spectrum of thoughts.
Yeah, I'm totally with Ricky on that. Like I want to hear the like unfinished story. It makes you wonder like what would be next, Like what would they have done? You know what I mean? Because that's the whole thing about being an artist. Is like you want to do the unexpected. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's like it's good to wonder, like especially with a new album, like what's next. Like when we released Ghost, people were like, "What's next for the EP?"
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah. So
I feel like a lot of things, at least in the music industry, it's always like the next step of what's going to happen. And what I love specifically about this industry in general is because like, when you guys release a song, like 5 years from now, someone's going to relate to the song as it was when you released it. And I find that that's what makes it so timeless. So it's very interesting and a great thing to happen in this industry. That's not really
I like that.
But
no, that's fine. I like that. Are going to be relatable for a long time. They're kind of just like a broad statement on a little piece of our mind. So it's relatable for time to come because we're always going to be stressed. We're always going to be depressed or, stressing about something or down on our luck or feeling like the underdog. So I hope that somebody 5 years down the line listens to it and it's like, yo, I heard this song 5 years ago as well and I still relate to this.
Yeah. I think like a lot of people are like, well, a new album's coming out. It's totally going to be different. I'm just going to listen to that. Well, listen to the old stuff as well because it still has a lot of meaning towards it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that still listen to Bring Me the Horizons, like deathcore stuff because it has a lot of meaning, towards it still. You know what I mean? And they love every single album. Some people just listen to their pop stuff. You know what I mean? Some people still listen to pop. Some people listen to what they're producing now. You know what I mean? Like every song has a meaning. You know what I mean? And I don't think music should ever be forgotten or songs should be forgotten just because something new comes out. It's not like a video game where like in a video game, sometimes the next version of like Assassin's Creed is like better. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want to play the older versions. I still play the older versions, but you get what I mean. But you want to always. I always look back to like older music and stuff like all the time because sometimes the older stuff has more meaning than the newer stuff.
I like seeing the progression of an artist, like listening to their early stuff and then going through the discography to hear their newer stuff. It's always interesting. It's always fascinating because it's a journey in and of itself, like not just the record, but a discography because there's so much happening and so much evolving from it.
I like seeing the growth, honestly.
Yeah.
A small part of me kind of hates that we took everything down, but we didn't grow in that. So we just grew personally. I think that's what it was. We grew like as people to make more mature music.
I don't know. Like, would you? I don't know if we kept our old stuff up. If like we would have, if people actually would have seen growth. I think some people would have definitely seen growth. I mean, even vocally, just streaming wise, even instrumentally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That's a
tough one.
That's a tough one.
Because that one's like
that was hard for us to do.
That was like a 55-45 down the middle split for that one. It was like it was weird. I don't know.
Some of us were like, some of us in the band were sad to see it go, and some people were pretty pumped about it. You know, it just we had to kind of. I felt like we had to do what we had to do, but there's a part of me that like still will go back and you can, if you dig deep enough, you can find the old stuff. You know, so still find it.
Maybe we made it a trick, or
it's a trick. You know? But if you find it, this stuff is still pretty good. So there's a lot of good memories too.
Okay, so talking about the release that's coming up, what is your favorite part of a song you've written for it?
Ooh, that's a good one. My favorite chorus I've ever written is definitely "Fading Out." I was in Chris's basement when we originally wrote together, and
Chris is our drummer.
Chris is our drummer. Great guy. We were downstairs, and he was like, "I don't know what we want to do for this chorus," and I just started going, "I'm fading out," and it like fits so perfectly, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool!" Like it was so powerful. It's probably, you know, one of our most powerful choruses I would have.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't released yet, but I love.
I feel like you really like Surface.
I love Surface. All right, I'm like torn because both of those two parts that I like are in two songs that we haven't released. I like what we did for One of Us. One of Us is our heavier songs, and Chris and I wrote that together, and it was just a riff, and then we kind of built off of it, and then once it went to the studio, it came together more. But I really like playing that song, and I guess
that was
songs that we honestly no lied. Ghost, I lied. Ghost, I love playing Ghost. They'll tell you it's my favorite song to play live.
It's like, really it's
so like drivey, and it's just fun. It's I don't even have to think about it. I guess that's the reason why the intro.
That's our groove song. That's like our song. Yeah, live. We don't have to think about it. It's just one of those songs that like I don't know. We play it so perfectly live. Like it's crazy. That was just like the album live.
Yeah. So I would say like Ghost, like Ghost in its entirety for me was very fun to write. It's fun to play. The parts are easy to. I could teach anybody how to play that.
Oh, the sample in the beginning with like the strings and stuff too was just so cool. It was so unique. I don't even know how we found that sample, but it was fantastic. It was perfect. Sounds like a superhero song. You know, you're like flying through the sky. You know, that's what it reminds me of. Spider-Man. But it was funny. I have the Spider-Man game or whatever for PlayStation, and I played that song behind Spider-Man. I was like, "Oh, this is dope." You're like, this is great. It's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. I have heard the record. I think I'm going to say this, and I'm going to. I never say this. I am always so skeptical when a song is the title track of a record, because I'm gonna be honest, it's normally never my favorite song, but in this case it was. So that probably means nothing. But
no. That means
a lot. Yeah. The whole was like, we were like, let me keep going. I got it. Hold on. Finish that thought.
Okay, so Surface is definitely my favorite track of the record. I think 8 sums up the songs very well in the little track listing formatting, just because the story of what was happening. I think that having it titled Surface and having the song, a lot of the songs touch on things that aren't seen at surface level. So I thought it was kind of ironic in a sense that it was called Surface. And I think that picking that song for the title track was a really smart choice and a really good one.
That was thank you for all that. Seriously. Surface wasn't actually called that. That was the first song that we wrote for this album as well. And playing games, that's what it was. We all 5 of us had said that we were like, wow, we really don't want to like name the album and the song together, because we don't want the song to sound like it's a sum up of the album. And we kind of just left it, just because it just made more sense when we started like naming files for real. We were like, all right, Surface, it fits because it's kind of a sum of what we thought. But yeah, that's just really crazy that you said Surface is your favorite off the record.
I think
I'm like blown away by that.
I love the ending of Surface.
Maybe because we've had it for so long. Yeah. One of those songs that just kept going. Like for us personally, just went through edit. We just were like, damn, the song's never gonna come together. And finally, it came together like once we got in the studio, and we were like, oh, this is cool, and it's cool to play it live.
I will never forget the look on our faces when Dayla started to put like all of the effects. Like, do you like this? Remember you put it?
Yeah.
We were like,
we had a lot of fun doing like the post edits and like seeing all the production going into it afterwards, because it wasn't what we were expecting. We wrote the song as like a semi-acoustic,
it almost
heavy song.
It almost didn't come to the studio.
Yeah, we brought that song and Fading Out and Ghost to the studio, and one other song, and Fading Out. I mean, no, not Fading Out. Surface was the one that we were like,
and Bailey's like, no, I want to do it.
yeah, you guys need some space and everything else. You're like, all right, cool, let's try it.
I think my favorite part of Surface is like the end, where like you hear me and my screamer going back and forth, and all of a sudden it just ends, and there's just the piano. It's like the end of all the bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like your mind is cleared. I love that. It just gives me a lot of emotion every time I sing that song. I mean, there's been times where I've sang that song live and I get like teary-eyed. It's a very emotional song.
I love how the ending gave space to breathe. Like, it just had this nice like effect at the end where you're like, oh, okay, like it was one of the songs where I had to probably like replay it a couple of times just to actually understand what was happening. It was one of those that like required more listens because it was that good. So.
Like, I'm glad you do it more than once.
I really have. I'm happy you listened to the whole piece. So you obviously think that every song ties in really well to each other. That was kind of like our goal. I mean, we just kind of really want to tell a story. Sometimes, like, we listen to an album, it doesn't really tell a story. It's just a bunch of randomness.
All right, so then I guess we can ask a question. How did, honestly, because not a lot of people have heard it, besides like our label, close to us and stuff, have heard the album back and forth. Now that you have an unfiltered, you don't know us until this conversation, what did you think of the song? All the songs.
The songs. Okay.
The album.
As I said earlier, super excited actually in my genre. Very rarely happens. I was very intrigued, gonna be 100% honest. Like, it wasn't what I expected, which is always good. I like listening to artists where I'm like, oh, this isn't what I thought was gonna happen, but I noticed that everything had like a really nice intent to it. Like, as you said, like you wanted to create this story, and I love listening to albums in full for that purpose, because every song is placed in a way. That's why I asked about track listing, because I always think there's some intent behind it. And it like kind of like, okay, remember in like school at like the hero's journey where like you hit the climax and then there's like the resolution at the end? I kind of thought that's what the record was.
So we did it right. Yeah, like we started at the beginning of the interview saying that like we like to tell a story. I've always liked albums, and I've always liked songs that told stories from the beginning to the end, and you can follow it. And I watch TV. Everybody watches a lot of TV and movies stuff. Like, I really listen to like the music and how the music like exaggerates the word or like the scenario and stuff. So we wanted to make like the climax of every part, like that one part of the song that's just like in your face. You can tell there's a lot of emotion happening in your mind, and then we just draw it back to make you kind of just sit back on it a little bit. And you're gonna expect it's gonna come again, obviously. Yeah, we don't know when or where.
You know what's crazy though? Like, I don't think we even expected that to even really tell a story. It just kind of naturally did.
Yeah,
it was something that just sort of kind of like naturally happened. Just kind of weird, because it's not like we went to like, we want to tell this story, we want this, and then we want this. It just sort of happened.
Yeah, naturally. The writing process pretty much was what's happening in everybody's life that we can relate to, and it's kind of, and we hang out 3-5 times a week. Like, we hang out a lot outside of music, so we kind of just was like, this is easy. We just made writing a lot easier. And then once we added Dino, our bassist, he's got a degree in not psychology,
English or something.
No, yeah, it's something like that. Philosophy. He's a philosophy major, so like now we get to toy around with these intricate words. Like words that first time. I'm not. So now we're gonna start having fun with those phrases, and
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just one person writing songs and stuff like that. Like,
it's all of us.
It's all of us. Like, I'm really, really good with melodies. Like, pretty good with melodies, and Dino would usually put those words in melodies. But what are you looking at me funny for?
You just did Fading Out, and then you were like, yeah, I'm great at harmonies or melodies.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, like I said,
he's all right. He's learning.
Yeah, I'm like I said, like sometimes sometimes certain things click, and sometimes things just don't click. You know, so sometimes I just need extra help to help that click.
Yeah. My next question is relating to records. What is your favorite album in your personal collection? And by personal collection, I mean you physically own it.
Ooh, Death Eternal, Bring Me the Horizon, all-time favorite album. I've loved Bring Me the Horizon well before that, but I really like sat there and listened to that album, like put it on, sit with headphones, and like write notes type stuff. Like I very much enjoyed that. I don't think there's anything more perfect than that album at all. Like there's nothing in for some reason it's just like that record. I just have no words. They really did a number with that album.
My favorite album of all time, well, that kind of got me into like the pop punk, all this stuff. So I'm actually a huge pop punk fan, actually. Is Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink-182. Tom DeLonge, man, my boy. I wish he would come back, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, there's rumors of it, but you know, it just kind of got me into that like genre of like music of like pop punk and stuff like that. I listen to different things, and then obviously I like Of Mice and Men and their album Of Mice and Men. So it's one of my favorite albums too. It's actually where I've learned some of my screaming techniques. Was from that album, kind of like his way of screaming. So those are my two like favorite albums of all time.
I love asking this question. I feel like it says a lot about a person of what records they pick, just because it can either be, you might have an emotional connection to it, or it's just something that stood out to you. I just think it says a lot about a person.
Yeah, I agree. Getting that question, I was like, oh, damn, I want to be either judged or loved because of this.
I mean, honestly, I remember when I first started hanging around Ricky, he got me into a lot of like Gavin dance too. I have to say, like with like Tillian and Rabbits and all that stuff, like all the videos. It's like, isn't this stuff weird? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like it because I never actually really a lot.
Yeah, I come from like Woe Is Me, OG. We came in Romans, Attack, like OG Attack. Like Someday Came Suddenly. I have Someday Came Suddenly tattooed across my chest. That's how that album meant to me. Yeah. All that old OG like 2009 metalcore, pop, post-hardcore, popcore. I guess I don't know what you would call it. Weird metal.
There's also a band on Sharp Tone Records that I really like too. It's kind of a little bit different. It's called it's Alpha Wolf.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I love their like style. I love like the vocals style, like his little like Japanese clothing style he's got going on there. It's just I don't know. I love their vibe. You know what I mean? So I like weird stuff like that as well.
Like, I think they're from like Transylvania or something.
They're just like weird. Like I like really really weird music. Sometimes I'll put something on like in the car and be like, what is this? It's like what like. I listen to a lot of EDM too. So.
Yeah. When I'm driving in the car with my friends, I'm not allowed to use the aux cord, even though it's my car, because they're like, "What are you listening to?" So
I don't even have a cord in my car. That's how old my car is. Not even. I don't even plug in for me to even. I just still use CDs and physical CDs. Awkward. It's really awkward.
Yeah, as I said earlier, do you think it says a lot about a person? I don't know. It's probably really super philosophical, but
it does a lot about a person. If someone came out and said like, "Oh, my favorite album of all time is Believe" by Justin Bieber," I'd be like,
if someone told me,
I mean, I'd be cool with it because Justin Bieber's a goat, but like, really, to announce it on TV, anywhere, that's like a guilty pleasure, not
a favorite album.
Yeah, not a favorite album.
Fun fact. Where I got into like metalcore and stuff like that, and Ricky and some of my bandmates know about this. I actually was a country singer before. I went on tour with Kenny Rogers when I was like 13, and did stuff with him. I did like the Christmas special with him. So I used to actually sing country. That's how I kind of got the melodic tone, and I translated it into metalcore, pop punk, and I don't know. I'm not a big country fan, but I will listen to some country music. Once in a blue moon, it'll come in. Some Luke Bryan, you know.
So, what music are you currently listening to? I asked this to expand my own horizons of what I should be checking out.
What music? Currently, I am listening to new Secrets Come Down single that they released. I think, honestly, it's probably one of their better songs I've heard in a really long time. I'm also reliving my olden days with Woe Is Me, back when they had Michael Bond and Tyler Carter. Also, I'm listening to a band called Sleep Token. They went on tour with Issues, I think, last year, and their whole vibe is just like really wear masks. Their sound is just so dope. If you haven't listened to them, they're so awesome. Bill Murray. If you like Attack, the old singer from Attack, Johnny Frank, it's his band. Real like electronic pop, but with some of his screams in it. It's a day. I literally listen to it every day. Everybody around me listens to it now. Well, and it's not because of me; it's because of Chris, our drummer. So
he introduced that. Bill Murray also for me. Two bands I'm gonna do kind of a shout out a little bit. Two bands I personally know. I would have to say I've been listening to a lot of Varsity. They've been releasing some really cool, unique music. They're out in New York as well. And also this band, Vanish, too. They've been like a huge supporter of our music as well. I love the vibe. I've also been listening to a lot of Picturesque, too. I think Kyle has a very unique voice. It's very different. You know what I mean? So their music has given me a lot of like inspiration as well for different kinds of sounds and stuff, because they have like a cool, unique like pop vibe. So they're like, and then they're kind of like heavy at the same time. It's just different. You know, I like listening to just weird, different things. Like I say, like albums, you know, like just unique stuff. Something that
go first.
Catches.
Oh, I was just gonna say I have Do You Feel Okay on vinyl. So.
Oh, cool. Great.
Got you one up.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
I was very nervous to pre-order that one.
Yep. Beat me on that one.
Yeah, I'm always super sketched to pre-order a vinyl. Just because, like, a lot of artists I listen to, I'm never a fan of the singles they release. And it's upsetting. Like, I'm gonna use Boston Manor as my example. I hated the singles released for Glue. I thought they were terrible. But then I loved the album, so... I don't know.
Got the whole one.
Second to last question. What musicians inspire you to be a better musician?
Oh. Mine would be like, I've always been fascinated with like Hendrix. I was blown away by Claudio from Coheed and Cambria. I saw him like maybe a month after I got my first guitar, and I was like, one, I need a double neck SG guitar, and two, I need hair like that, and three, I want to play like that. And then it wasn't until I like met him personally, and he was super cool, with AJ from Issues. I met him outside of a show, and we talked about gear and playing live performances and stuff. And he was just a super like cool, upfront, honest person. What I would say, I think for me, just for like frontman wise, I would say Freddie Mercury, because he was such a diva. Yeah, Freddie Mercury.
Freddie
Urie. I was trying to think of, because I was going to say Freddie Mercury. I almost said Freddie Mercury.
I was about to say, but like, you know, I remember like it was like one of my first shows with the band, and I was like super nervous, and Ricky was like, "Just be a diva, Brady," and it always stuck in my head, and I was like, "Be a diva." I was like, "This is my chance to just do what I want." So, obviously, like Freddie Mercury is a huge inspiration for me. I would have to say Kellen Quinn. Sleeping with Sirens, like the way his stage presence, like I just love it. He always gets everyone like so hyped. I mean, he's the type of guy you could just walk out on stage and everyone's just gonna cheer for him and go nuts for him. You know, I hope that's the goal. Like one day. Obviously Brandon Urie as well, because he's also a diva too. So anyone who's a diva, I want to be. So
it's on record, right?
I want to be a diva. So that's definitely, And honestly, vocally, like, I would have to say this: Tyler Carter from Issues. He's just on all the time, and he just has like one of those naturally like perfect voices, in my opinion. That like, he's got great tone and stuff like all the time, like even live, and that's really hard to find. So he's a good role model for me as well.
Actually, Sleeping with Sirens was the last band I saw live before quarantine.
Really?
Ours too.
That's so funny.
Ours too. Cal Quinn guest listed us.
Yeah.
And like hung out at the show, and then you saw him.
I saw him at the end. Yeah, I saw him at the end, and we talked because I told him I was like, hey, do you recognize me at all? He goes, who are you? I'm like, Chris from Until We Get Caught, and he was like, I did a song for you guys, and I was like, yeah, you did. like I was like so pumped, I was like in the line, and then like all people were like, wait, he did a song for you, and they started like talking to me about it, and then like me and Kellen were talking about it, and then pulled me off the side, and we were talking more about it. He's really cool. I mean, one time I got sick, and I messaged him, and I was like, do you have any like vocal techniques or any remedies? He was super chill, and like we talked about it, and he's a nice guy, but, really good dude. So awesome band.
Where did you see them perform?
Worcester. Okay. And then I rolled down too. Where was that?
Mansfield. So Worcester to us is like further inland, and then Mansfield is the same. It's closer to like Providence, going towards Boston.
Okay, that geographically made sense. To me, at least. Yeah, I was at that show because I interviewed Cody Carson from Set It Off.
Oh,
that's why I was there.
Yo, you were at the
Starland
Palladium?
one. Yeah.
Oh, I think Aleks did Aleks go to that? I feel like Aleks either worked the line for that show. I forget. We had to do something because I remember Aleks came to us. Never mind. He was with us. Okay. I remember he was with us doing something.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. A lot of people, this was their last show that I've spoken to. Like, I was like, oh, and all in different states. So
yeah, I mean, that was our last show. Outside of that, like, everything kind of happened so quickly, and we played like 2 more shows after that, and then everything started to happen. Mm-hmm. So we had like, I was supposed to go to Sad Summer this year.
Same.
Yeah, and Aleks was supposed. I think he was gonna go to the one in New Jersey.
Same.
I was gonna go to the one in Massachusetts, and we were both gonna work the lines at both shows. Well, obviously got canceled and pushed to next year. Who else? Who else was this year? Oh, it was Issues and Dance Gavin Dance, Animals as Leaders. All those bands were coming around. They pushed it to August, but I doubt that's gonna happen now. They like redid the entire tour to August, but outside of that, I didn't have anything else planned.
I feel so bad for the tours that weren't even announced that were canceled. Like,
yeah. We had some rumors of some tours we could have hopped on, and obviously with COVID, they were like, oh, never mind. We're like, yeah.
That's pretty upsetting. Like, I know, for my school, we were planning a concert that didn't happen due to COVID. It was like the week after everything happened, so that unfortunately didn't happen. But here we are.
Here we are as well.
It's crazy. I don't know when live music is going to come back. I recently read something that said like 2022.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I really freaking hope not. Really, really hope not.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask my last question because it's almost been an hour, and I feel terrible about keeping you.
No, we're enjoying this conversation. It's probably one of our best.
Oh really? Oh, good. Thanks.
Cool. Some of them are so. I'm just kidding.
He's new to all this. Every interview has been fine.
No.
Every interview is fun. Like, we're having fun talking. Fine going over an hour.
Yeah. Alright, so my last question is, what are your goals for 2020? We can do the year or the decade, because everything that's happened, the year's kind of been canceled.
So for the year, our goal as a group is to, get in everybody's ear effectively. Like, we can't play shows any longer. So we're gonna keep trying to find little ways to somehow creep our music into everybody's ears.
We're gonna try to be the best online band that we possibly can be for everybody,
and live when that happens.
Yeah.
But we're 2020 was thought to be dead, but we're just gonna keep grinding and see what happens. Because once live shows do come back, we can now be given a better ticket to play better shows.
We do practice like nonstop. We're getting better and better. Just we always keep improving. So like we're hoping that we're just gonna blow people away to get back.
Yeah, and I guess decade would be just to keep being better musicians, better business people, better friends, a better group of people, a better family, to just keep doing this together, because it's really good that what we have now and it's comfortable, and we want to keep everything together. And the big part of this band is that when I recruited everybody, because making sure we all had the same goals, and everybody's goal was, I want to be at this level with no time frame, though. They just want to get there. And people that are like that, I admire, because that means, if someone says, oh, in like 4 years I want to be here, and then 4 years and not there, they kind of shut down. Like, no one gave me a time frame. Everybody was like, I want to be this, I want to do this with music, this is what I want to do with it. And I was like, hey, we got a spot for that.
I have a lot of respect for Rick, because like when me and him first met and stuff, he told me, he asked that, he's like, what are your goals? I'm like, I want to be a rock star. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know how we're gonna get there, but like whenever we have to do, we can get there. And I think like that kind of like resonated in his head a little bit. I feel like if I like was saying, like giving time on like, hey, I wanted to do this like here, probably would have been like, what? Because there's never a timeline. It's always constantly moving and changing.
So I guess the plan would be, or the answer to that would be, the next 10 years, the next decade, it would probably be expect more of us. Like, if we're gonna improve, we're gonna keep maturing, we're gonna keep releasing content, we're gonna try being more personable. Like, we like conversations like this where you and now the audience can see who we are. Like, we're people. Like, we can have conversations, we can talk about almost anything. And we have our own respective ideas and decisions and opinions on certain topics, and that's okay. In today's world, everybody kind of comes down to you for having the same opinion as the group. So we want to say, like, this is us. Like, this is what to expect for the next decade, the next century is us.
I love that answer. I know that question kind of feels like when you're on a job interview and they're like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But
yeah.
The answer you gave me was probably one of the most unique I've gotten. And
oh yeah,
I think that's
right.
What most artists should strive for. Just see how it happens and do the best you can and be you guys. So, again, probably one of the most unique answers I've gotten, and I personally think one of the best ones I've received for that question. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Honestly, it was an honor. Thank you.
So again, thanks for chatting with me. I greatly appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to speak with me.
Thank you.
Thank you
too.
so much. It was an honor.